Greetings, programs. This is Let's Code a Full 90, where we'll take the next hour and a half, dig into some code, and try to make our little part of the world a better place. I'm your host, Rob Menching, and today we're gigging in farther and farther into the Wix toolset. We're actually picking up from where we left off last week, which was just a fun, crazy exploration into how far we could push versioning or version numbers in the Wix tool set, particularly MSI, and where bundles would take us. And we're going to pick up from there today, taking the fun and whimsy that we did and actually going and fixing the bug that is behind all of this. So what does that mean? It means going and taking this code where I commented everything out or deleted a bunch of stuff and basically just shoved it all aside to let any version number through so that we could see how things work out and actually replace it with real working code, hopefully. If not real code, at least on the path to real working code. And unfortunately, this code is going to be string parsing and lots of string parsing, which feels like something akin to what not to do on a live stream. Lots of XY positions and stuff like that, which I am sure I will make plenty of mistakes, but it'll be fun anyway. That's what we're doing today. We're going to take all that fun stuff we did last week, know what we know from there, and now bring it into reality and what are the things we're actually going to enable. And I've been thinking about a little bit since then about how to go about doing this, or what exactly we're doing here. And I think what we're doing here is we need to bring in the idea of the Wix version, which is more than just for, number, and it's more than semver. It's actually a much more open area, which is, or open system, which is what we're looking at the end of in version util. And essentially this is what all the space that Wix will support, and make sure that we define the boundaries of Wix version so that we can make sure that bundles always work the way we expect them to. And then in the case of the Windows installer, put in the appropriate checks, the appropriate extra error message, to make sure that Windows installers always end up with the correct version for them. Because as we saw at the end of last week, the 255 limit is real, or spoiler, 255, if you go above 255, it's actually wraps back around. So 256 was version 0 and 257 was version 1, I think. Anyway, we're going to keep that error check in there for Windows installers because the Windows installer allows 255.255.65535 or whatever, 3635, whichever one of the 35, I think. All right, so we're going to make sure that that error check stays, and we're going to bring in all the other good checks for the Wix toolset. And then we're also, we're going to do that so that we get into a good spot for what is allowed in a version in the Wix toolset. Predominantly for bundles, to make sure that they always will upgrade themselves and otherwise talk about themselves correctly. Now, in the past, that what meant it was just is a valid 4-part version. That's not the case anymore. It can actually be more complicated than that. So I want to make sure that we handle that properly, or that we enhance is valid 4-part version, and probably I have to decide how we want to deal with that interface there, because that's no longer going to be probably the name. Is valid Wix version is probably where we're going to go, so that we can then have all of the rules encoded so that the backends, the compiler too, we'll put it in the Parse Helper, I expect, the compiler and the backends can correctly parse these things and give logical error messages when they don't match up. I think that's where we're going to start. All right, so just real quick refresher here. We found the version util. No, this is the version util, and I was hoping I still had the version fixture. No, that's the one I added. Did I close that file? I thought I had it open still. So this is the code inside. There it is, ver util tests. Let's bring those a little closer to each other. These are the tests that were showing us all the different kinds of things that this new functionality, the Wix version, supports, including, this one's, I thought it was right here. Yeah, so some more complicated number, dash, number, and all kinds of different parts at the end. and we can intuit over those. Let's see. So I think the logic is, let's see, is that the biggest that we can go? Version, those are all versions, all right. And then we have the plus symbol being processed. Version numbers with 4 numbers, plus a whole bunch of metadata on the end of them. All that good stuff. All right, so I think the new logic is parse the 4 numbers, and then the dash and the plus separator at the end, and then basically whatever they want to do after that. I was looking for something crazier, but I don't know. Here's the dot and dash. Did this one fail to parse? It says version 2 invalid. Let's see, this is 1, 2, 3, revision, release labels, metadata offset. It said it was invalid. Wait, am I reading that right? Version this, 1, 2, and 3, right? The revision is 0, that's fine. The release labels, it says there's 0. The metadata offset is 6, but there are no release labels. But I would have expected that one to, oh, that plus alone is not supported. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's not what my memory. I'm going to bring up semver.org. I closed it from last week, but we're going to bring it up real quick. I want to refresh my memory. Additional labels, which for pre-release and build metadata as extensions to the major minor patch format, right? So down here at the bottom, the build metadata may be denoted by appending a plus sign, a series of dots, right? So there's the plus, and it is allowed right after the last 0. Okay, so this first one should be allowed. Oh, invalid, false. Okay, it's right. The second one is a dot, that's not allowed, and then the dot dash is invalid as well. Okay, there we go. All caught up. Okay, so it does mean that you have to end it, the separator needs to be a plus or a minus, but down here we look, okay, these are both good. That invalid false backwards logic is tricky. All right, this is going to be allowed as well. We're going to allow 4 versions plus the built metadata. Yeah, there we go. See, that's also allowed. And here's a really big long one, which is supported all the way to the end. But it has a dot plus, so that's not valid. So this has 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the A, the B, the C, the D, then the dot 5, and I think this one is the numeric 5. Yep. And then this last thing is busted because of the dot plus. Okay. Okay. Does Semver talk about the dot plus? I wonder if they actually, I'm not going to read all this in detail. I was just curious if it was obvious if they had a dot. They always looks like they have to have some alphanumeric character after any of the dots. Oh no, that has a trailing dot. That's interesting. I wonder if they meant to treat that as a period. All the examples end in periods, I think. So maybe that's that. Oh, okay. Maybe note that appending a hyphen and a series of dot separate identifiers immediately or past version. Identifiers must not be empty. Okay. Numeric identifiers must not include leading zeros. Okay. Pre-release versions, press this, XYZ dash row. A pre-release version indicated that the version is unstable and might not satisfy the intended compatibility requirements. Right, this is the language report. Now, examples. This, alpha 1, that 792. This last guy has dash X dash Y dash Z dot dash dot. Interesting choice there. Okay. I don't know how the syntax. I'm going to worry about that less. So how much do I want to dig into the validation of a lot of these things. I need to loosen it up. Right now I've taken off all validation, which I guess would be one option, is to just let any version go through until we hit, yeah, that just seems not quite right, because then you wouldn't even know if you accidentally, yeah, we should help you a little bit more than that. Know that you're not going to get a number, a version number like you thought you were. All right, so you should do better than that. 1.2.3.4 dash. So then this here is saying invalid on, I think, the plus. No, that's numeric, yeah, and then after that, 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, okay. And that's the part, is the invalid part. Okay. Interesting. All right. So that trailing dot was always an error except after the plus sign. Yeah, it's I see that as just trying to compare that to what that looks like there, of the Z dot and then dash, which is still a strange number to choose from. And none of these other ones do. This one has it X dash Y. Identifiers must comprise only of ASCII alphanumeric hyphens and hyphens. Oh, identifiers. Got it. Identifiers must not be empty. Z dot. The interesting thing is dot is not listed here. So what does this Z dot in here really mean? Numeric identifiers must not include leading zeros. Fine. Pre-release versions have lower precedence than the associated normal versions. Yes, that makes sense. So alpha dot 1. All right. A pre-release may be denoted by a hyphen and a series of dot separate identifiers. Okay. Must comprise only of ASCII alphanumerics and hyphens. 0, 9, A to Z, A to Z, minus X, Y, Z, dot, dash, dot. And then I'm assuming all these things are ending in periods as sentence, not as part of the version. Although really, given how important dots are, they probably should not have put that in the spec. I guess XYZ is the first label and dash is the second release label. Pre-release version may be identified by a hyphen and a series of dot separate identifiers followed by the patch version. Identifiers must not be empty. Numeric. Yeah, this one example here is kind of funky. EXP dot that, okay. Don't think they have anything that interesting. I don't really know. What did they do there? They don't have any other examples that have multiple dashes in them, from the looks of it. Do we try to do the EBNF here? Yeah, I don't think we should validate the numeric identifiers must not have leading zeros. I'm not real big on semantic versioning's all these rules, and I also don't think people are very exact on it. And I know NuGet had issues with some of these, so we kind of built a superset of all, which is why I'm looking at calling this. This is more like Wix version, definitely not semantic versioning. It is a superset. It supports more than what semantic versioning technically allows. Dot separated pre-release identifiers. Patch, okay. Patch that pre-release identifier plus build. I see. So the dash is, okay, version or version or. Okay, fine. So either pre-release or that. Got it. So, and a pre-release is here, which is dot separated pre-release identifiers. So dot separated, oh, it's all one identifier. Pre-release identifier or pre-release identifier dot separated pre-release identifiers. Okay. Ah, no scroll bar visible. Is it down here? Yeah, there it is. Okay. And then it could be itself. Okay. Pre-release identifier. So they do not allow multiple dashes within the pre-release, which is interesting, because I think that says that example is not correct. Yeah, I don't see it anywhere else in here. Non-digit letter. Oh. Identifier character. Digit or non-digit. Letter or non-digit or. Okay, there it is. It's allowed as a letter or the dash, and letters are, yeah, A through Z. And digits are 0 or positive digits, fine. Is there a case where they use positive digits elsewhere? Probably. Oh, right, because they don't want leading zeros, probably. All right, so then a non-digit can have a minus in it. A minus, a hyphen. Interesting. A letter or a hyphen. So identifier character. Identifier numeric. Yeah, I don't care about that. Alphanumeric, right. Or. So non-digit. Yeah, so it could be a dash. So you could have dash dash, if I'm reading this correctly. I'm jumping over things a little bit too much, but build identifier, alphanumeric or digits. Alphanumeric identifier can be a non-digit. A non-digit can be a dash. Okay. So after the first dash, oh, it says it right here. Identifiers must compose ASCIIs and hyphens. Right. But not, or dots. Identifiers will not be that. Yep, okay. XYZ dash Z dot dash. Because dash isn't a valid identifier. Okay. Identifier character. Yeah, so the pre-release label for this. So this is major 1, minor 0, patch 0, pre-release label X-Y-Z dot dash. That's kind of weird. All right, so it's basically everything is in the pre-release label, and then you can have a plus on the end of that, and it must be at the end. Yeah, the plus, the build metadata, or is it what do they call it? Yeah, build metadata must come at the end with a plus. All right, so once you hit that dash, you can kind of just take any characters, although technically an identifier must not be empty, which means you can't have a dot. Yeah, okay, so in a series of dot separate identifiers. So we don't want the ability to have dot in there, which makes sense because dot as a pathing out there, you could accidentally use your semver to allow pathing, and I can understand why they don't want to allow dot to start walking up. Okay. I think that makes sense. So it's essentially dash this string, and then the plus, and the build metadata can again be the same thing, right? So let's look at build, pre-release, build. How's build different? Dot separated build identifiers. Ugh. Build identifier, dot separated build identifiers. Great. Where is a build? Alphanumeric identifier. So build identifier and pre-release identifier are the same. Oh no, wait. This says digits versus numeric identifier. They're not the same. 0 positive digits, as opposed to the build identifier being digits. The build identifier may have leading zeros. That's what it's doing. Okay, fine. That's fine. Not sure I'm going to care about the leading zeros anyway, so not going to stress about that. So it's dash and then a whole bunch of goo. Yeah. Yeah, the plus stuff is just whatever after that. I think that's probably the way to treat that, is whatever you want to put there. Okay, so how much do I really want to validate pre-release anyway? It could just be plus almost anything you want in there, then a plus, and then anything you want there, and then plus and anything you want, because it's just trailing at the end, and then a pre-release could be a dash with anything up to a plus. Just don't know how strict I want to be within that, the rest of that range, because that's where all the rules seem to get messy of people interpreting the pre-release areas differently. So if we just treat it as this dash and then whatever you want, not a plus, and then a plus, and then whatever you want after that, then that will be pretty loose, but not terribly off. And in the end, it's only going to not parse. The invalid part will be the metadata offset. So hopefully we'll have the major minor parts anyway. So I think I'm going to kind of go that direction. Everything after that first dash is fair game. So a version starts with a number. In Wix version, it'll start with a number, and it can have up to 4 dotted numbers. So it has to have at least one. It can have up to 4. Then it can have a dash with a whole bunch of stuff, and then a plus with a whole bunch of stuff. Or it could have up to 4 numbers plus with a whole bunch of stuff after it. And I think that's probably as strict as I really want to get in the compiler. Or in the build tools, not just the compiler, in the build tools. All right, so looking at it that way, let's go back and look at the diffs in compiler package. So what did I do? This get attribute version value. All right. Let's go look at this code. Yeah, it's using Parse Helper get attribute version value. Here we are. And we're just leaning heavily on the version, C# version class to parse it for us, which means it gives us 4 dot versions by default, up to 4 dot versions. So number dot number dot number. It does not give us a semantic versioning, right? And then if it does not parse as a version, then we can check to see if it contains binder variables, because you may have variables that get replaced, late bound, and then the right version will end up in there. So, and if we recognize it having a binder variable, then we're like, yeah, that's fine. Just let anything go through, because the binder, the resolve phase will replace all those with real numbers. And well, we get into that problem before. We talked about, I think, on the Wix meeting recently, a couple times, where we have to validate all the backend data. And we're doing some, but we're not doing everything, and everything is going to be a very, very large task. So we will catch the things that we need to catch, which is why we're going to have this version check both in the compiler, which is where this parser code is used, and we will also have it available to the backend so they can validate versions themselves. All right, so given that, this wants it back as a string. So this just wants to validate that we have the right thing. And given where we're at, I think, let's see all the places. How many places do we do get attribute version value? Let's kind of go look around. Required versions. So that's the Wix element. Okay, so that's depending on versions of Wix. That's the actual parse code. This is the version on the bundle that we've commented out. We want that to be a higher level. Version dependency element. Oh, that's interesting. I have to go look at the dependency code to see how restrictive it is about checking versions. And does it understand more, or does it require 4 dot versions, or does it support bigger definitions? So this is a provides element. So it was obviously just expecting 4 dot numbers there, and that. Okay. So we have to think about that. Dependencies 1. Merge modules are another, and merge modules are a 4 dot only version. Oh, actually, let's look at that real quick. Is it a 4 dot version? I don't remember how much validation there is. Probably is. Let's see. Module, signature, table. Version. Yeah, version. Yeah, so it has to be one of these kinds of things. 655, 655, 655, 655. All right, so we definitely have a couple places that still need the 4 dot version number. Okay. Not a good idea to not pay attention to what's after the dash for bundle versions, because they're all going to end up being invalid. Is that going to be the problem there? Let's see. Minimum. So this is the upgrade version, and this is the Windows installer one. Yeah, so this is the Windows installer version. This is the patch family. Oh, I have to remember where that one ends up. Where does the patch family version end up? All right, I have to go. Don't care about the PCP right now. Okay. Get attribute version value. So this is the minimum. So this is the Windows installer one. Do we check these? I'm curious. Minimum. We check that. Yeah, we don't actually check that the minimum matches the product version number. That's interesting, because technically speaking, these should follow the limits of the minimum and maximum. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. All right, so there's those two. Now, the dependency, or the patch, I mean, let's see, where does the version end up going? Whoa. Patch family, okay. I feel like it started at the top of the file, that was kind of weird. Is valid product version. All right, so this has to follow the same, this says it has to follow the same rules as the Windows installer requires. And is this a string? Yeah, okay, it's a string here. It is valid product version. So, all right. All right. All right, so what do I want to do? I want to just have the versions up here. Modules are a little bit interesting. Modules are interesting. All right, because they have 4 version. The patch requires the same as the product version. And the upgrade table will need to match the package. All right. So here's where I think I'm going to end up going. So let's see. That was all get attribute version values. Yes. Everywhere it was called. And that's the Wix element, right? Okay. And that could be a Wix version. Okay. I think I'm going to go down. Go here. No, all right. So this is the code to change. We need to write our own try parse for the Wix version. Now, is there anywhere in the build time where we need to know the constituent parts of the version number? Or does it always just end up being a string? I don't think we ever do any math on the version in the core tools. We just have to make sure it's the right shape. We don't actually have to know that one number is bigger than another while building. Because we don't actually care about that part. Okay. All right, let's see. Where are we at in the code now here? We're in the Parse Helper extensibility services, right? There's UUID. Yeah, I was thinking it might be like UUID. That I might create a Wix version class to do the parsing for me to isolate that, and then use it in both the Parse Helper and the backend helper here. So then the question is, let's look at the backend helper. Search for a version in here. Yeah, so there is the valid 4-part version. Yes, we have this common class left over from ancient history. It's just this dumping ground of all kinds of things. Are we still using? Yeah, okay, right. Yep, all right, cool. I guess I could also put it in common. I don't know. Don't know how I feel about that. Is valid 4-part version. If it's not a binder variable, then try to make it into a version number. Okay. How many places is this used? Nope, not that one. Whoa. Control C, Control Shift F. It's valid 4-part. Wow, that was weird. All right. That's the 2 things I was looking at. That's the implementation. Wait, what? No. Really? Oh, it's buried inside here. Is valid module or bundle version. Man, why is my Control C, Control Shift F? Oh, something is weird. Control C is not copying right now. That's weird. All right. All right, there's one of our checks for a valid bundle version. And then the compiler module. These are all in the compiler. Okay. Okay. It's a warning message. That's interesting. It's just a warning message. If it's not valid. Was the bundle the same? Yeah, it was just a warning message. Huh. All right. We're saying, well, we checked it. We don't think this is correct, but we'll let your version number go through until it fails later in the build process, probably. Actually, for a merge module, it'll probably go all the way through if you ignore the warning. Okay. So that means that is valid 4-part version. Unless my search is missing. All right, let's go run that again. make I don't have. Oh, I do have a current project. That's the problem. I need internal session. Okay. I didn't feel like that should be right. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Okay. Interesting. We expose it through the bird. Oh, we have to. Okay. So yeah, there's the MSI. Is if this is not a valid 4-part version. Oh, this is in the bundle build. Okay, great. Yeah. Yep. Okay. That's fine. All right. So that's the part that we need to work on for MSIs. All right. Being contained. Although, yeah, see, we do evaluate MSI versions. So we probably should check to make sure that they will meet the rules that we want them to. So we want to make sure that these are at least Wix versions. So when we get to the bundle, I guess we just want to validate that things are going to be evaluated by the Wix version correctly. Okay. And this truncation message won't be used anymore because we can support, well, I guess it could still be used if you had 6 numbers. That's interesting. Is valid 4-part version if it's not empty. Split, count the version parts. What are we doing there? 5 fields. Can we get a valid 4-part? Oh, I see. Because we're trying to. Wait, what are we trying to do? We split on the dots. The count is more than 0. So if we have some version parts, for all of them up to 4, maximum of 4, we put them together with dots. That's very interesting. And then if it's not a valid 4-part version, we write them. Oh, and it is a valid. Oh, I see. It wasn't. Now it is. Then we could say we truncated. Okay. What is that? That's very interesting. So in our case now with a bundle, taking an MSI, if you had an MSI that had 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 parts, we'd be able to parse the 5 parts, but we wouldn't understand the rest of them. I guess we could put them in pre-release, like for you automatically. Kind of. That's interesting option. Man, who does this? Otherwise, if we were not able to turn it back into a valid 4-part version, you have an invalid product version and the game is over. So here we're going to check to see if we can make it a Wix version. And if we couldn't, what could we do? This is just saying, hey, let's try to split whatever value was in the MSI on dots and stick it back together. Yeah. I guess we could take anything else off of that and put it in the pre-release data. I know I've said that already. I wonder if that's the thing to do, and then use this version truncated as, hey, we took your 5 dots and put it into this pre-release information for you automatically. Ugh. Not sure how excited I am about doing that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. How crazy can people get with their MSI versions? I guess that was always the question. If we don't do anything, then you don't find out until you attempt to do an install, and you won't with the bundle that contains the MSI, and even then you won't know until you try to run through all the versioning all the different ways you could do upgrades or whatever your MSI is going to do with these product versions. So our calculations are but if we, yeah, so that's interesting. So if we actually changed it from their version and put it as a pre-release, what have we done? We just changed the way the burn interprets the version number, but not the way the MSI interprets the version number. Because MSI was going to ignore all those parts anyway. And V3 Burn didn't like anything that wasn't a 4-part version, right? And this is truncating to that. So not sure what that was accomplishing. This was truncating a multi-part field to a 4-part field to make sure it fits. The bundle should keep the version string intact and just emit a warning if radio thinks it's invalid. Let it through and go, well, you know, Burn's not going to interpret this the way you expect it to, necessarily. But we're going to let it go through. Not that it was clear what MSI was. Well, presumably you tested what MSI is going to do with some 5-part version. So what happens then? We put this through. You have 5 fields. Yeah, so what happens in that case, Sean? In the case where there's like 5 fields, which I'm guessing is where this came from. If someone had 5 version fields, the Windows installer clearly is ignoring the last 2 for major upgrade decisions. So Burn would 2 or what does the 5th version do to Burn in that case if it goes through? So if the version number it got was, you know, v1.2.3.4.5, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So if that version goes through into the engine, is it going to treat it like version 1, 2, 3, 4? It does a string comparison on the metadata if the rest of the version is equal, right? So it compares the first 4 parts. So you're saying it would compare this part and ignore this .5 on the end for all intents and purposes. So this ends up being ignored down here. Is that what, do I understand that correctly? String comparison for metadata, the rest of the version is equal. Okay, so then, all right. It says we need to jump over to dutil. Oh. Libs. Dutil. All right, this should all be happy now. And I have dutil there with the test, so we should be able to open this project. Let's try to do just that. Source libs dutil. Open a project or solution. dutil.solution. Zoom, zoom. I don't want to upgrade any of this. No. Okay, fine. All right, let's see if we can bring up Test Explorer. Make sure we can build dutil here. Yay, one succeeded. Hopefully the dutil test will come up. I want the version test. Yay, and let's go ahead and run all of these. I had the project configuration set from last time. Yeah, it's still set. No, that's not checked for build. Oh, whatever. All right, so version compare treats unexpected content as metadata. All right, I do want a version compare, so let's go ahead and do a version compare. Version 1.4.5 and version 1.4. Let's do 5 just to start. That should be enough. Parse version 1, version 2. Is there a version compare? Test version compare. Version 1, version 2. Finally, release all that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Parse. Let's see. I don't want those to fail to parse. Yeah. Let's see. Test variable comparison parsed. Yeah, let's just go down here and see what happens. Let's see. Did it? No, it's not going to pick up mine. Oh. Drop this. And we will build right here. For metadata. Oh, of course. Okay, I just want to find it. Actually, we'll put this up here. Debug this, please. I set a breakpoint in the test. A release build. Fine. Build, configuration manager, debug. Switch to x86, see if this works differently. Debug, please. Let's go debug. Why do you think it's a release build? Build, configuration manager, that. Yeah, configuration, debug, build. How bad is this going to be if I try to run it in release mode? Yeah, just disable any. All right, let's see how far we get. All right, well, so far so good. Let's see where it gives us. All right. I don't have anything. Of course I don't, but I have version 2? Oh, it has version 2. Version 1 might be, I don't know. All right, release labels, metadata offset invalid is 1. All right, so let's see. If we compare 1 to 2, do I get end result? That's 0. What did that say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it says they're equal, I think. Nope. Yeah, that's my fault. I left it as 1. I guess I expect them to come back as equal. Yeah. Could run that test again. So this will have them come back as equal. Okay. And if I run this, this is gonna, let's see, does this come back as equal or does 2 come back as greater than 1? Because the metadata. Right. What does this give me? Okay. Yeah, I guess that. So flip. All right, so that says that the first 4 numbers will be parsed anyway. Okay. So then if we check this version from the Windows installer, we can compare to see if it's a valid 4-part version, or sorry, a valid Wix version. If it's not, warn and say, the behavior of this is going to be undefined. And then after that, also check to see if it's a, I don't know, there's no point doing any other check, because then the rest of it's just down to Windows installer rules. I was like, we could check also to see that the version number isn't out of range for the product version, but even then, who cares at that point? It's still going to be whatever their upgrades tests are. So this might just be make sure it's a valid Wix version and then let it go through. And if it's, say it differently, warn if it's not a valid Wix version. Given that Wix version is more open to things than ever before. Okay. What do they say? If it's not, if the warning message version truncated, kind of is truncated. I don't know if we can't quite say version truncated. Because it will compare the first 4. Well, there might not even be 4. Who knows what there is? All right, probably just a warning message that it's not a valid version, and we're gonna have to deal with that. Okay. So, and then there's a valid 4-part version, and we do have some places where that's used, not in the bundle, but it is used in the module. So the module still needs the valid 4-part version. But it's really the only place, because patches don't use it. And then we need is valid product version. Isn't that opening up inconsistencies between Burn deciding there's a major upgrade happening and MSI deciding otherwise? If we issue a warning, well, I don't think so, because we're going to look at all 4 parts. Yeah, well, Bob, yes, if you have, let's see, if you have 2 MSIs that have more than if they both have, how to say this, if the 2 MSIs have more than the 3 parts of the version, then everything after that the Windows installer ignores completely, where Burn would do some comparisons between those last few parts. So Burn might say, hey, this is a major upgrade, and that because it has a higher 5th point to it, even though that 5th dot was ignored. Let's not be hypothetical, right? So if you had MSI 1 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And MSI 2 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Burn will see MSI 1 as a lesser version of MSI 2, where MSI is, the Windows installer is going to see them as equivalent. Why can I not, what is, something's going funky with my keyboard. All right, so let's do 256 to 0 weirdness today. Yeah, I mean, so there's all these, but I don't think it's worse. And it's not going to be, yeah, I don't think it's not worse than what you're going to have with your MSI already authored. Yeah, I don't think we're making it worse. We're letting through whatever they did, and then their major upgrade's going to decide here. I mean, the other option is to be extremely strict and then kick out a whole bunch of MSIs where people have authored things that are technically allowed. I don't think we should do that because we added this code here at some point with something with 5 fields, because I know we didn't have this originally. And so it's just like, yeah, I don't think we're worse off because we're going to interpret the 1, 2, and 3 the same as the one as installer. And after that, major upgrades are off. It is a very strange world they put it in. Yeah, I don't think it's worse. And I don't know that we should tighten down to restrict it to 255, 255, 655 through 552. I don't think we should tighten it down to that either, because people have made mistakes and they're living with that, or they purposely put interesting information in their MSI version and nothing was ever upset about it before because they're playing within those rules. Whatever things they found to work. Although if you expect 255 to 257 to work, or 255 to 256 to work, then that's not at all anyways. Yeah, and allow same version upgrades makes things interesting as well. Yeah. I think the answer here is that we just need to parse for Wix version, display a warning if it doesn't pass anything. A strict mode? I don't want another, no. I don't want another switch. It's like, or an attribute to MSI package that says allow goofy version numbers. I mean, that's, or require strict, I mean, yeah, no. No, I don't think. The things that Burn's going to work exactly. If you follow these kinds of rules, Burn's going to work correctly for them with this kind of version parsing. And if you have allow same version upgrades, then Burn actually helps you presumably get to the right place, assuming that you are incrementing your version numbers in a way that's similar at all to semantic versioning. So Burn's not hurting you here. No, I think this is right. So you don't want to lose the validation we had in Wix 3. The validation we had in Wix 3 is 4-part version. Would we lose that? Well, we're already allowing 4-part versions here, where technically the 4th part should be ignored completely. Although it's useful if you do minor upgrades, which I appreciate you don't find valuable, but the 4th part of the version is very useful in the case of minor upgrades. And a warning is basically going to tell you the same thing. I don't think we're losing anything. Yeah, we're not going to be losing anything here. The trick is Burn has to interpret this at some level to know what it's doing. It's like we can't just say, hey, here's a version Windows installer, please interpret it for us, and then come back and then hand it off to any other XC that's in the thing. Say, all right, here's the version number we have for you. Please interpret this against the machine and come back with the answer of how are you upgrading. Right? That's not an option. So this is the limits we're trying to fit within in reality, just the realities of the system. And they tend to work out properly for most cases. Oh yeah. Package version will absolutely be validated like it was in V3. Absolutely. I'm not going to lose that. Make burn use Windows installer rules for the version. You mean, oh, burn use 255, 255, 6. I don't know how that would go over. Add a strict mode. Interesting. Given that you can only build bundles through the tooling, as far as I know, then we could lock it down to the tooling. I just... Well, we could lock it down to tooling, but then we'd have... no. No, it's not that... No. This hasn't been that big of a problem to do all of that for MSIs in particular. MSIs have a way they work. They have limitations. They're a little weird. You fit in them. We're not going to do worse on that here. Okay, so there's that. Common is valid 4-part version. So I only need this now for the merge module case, because it's the only version that has that restriction, which is interesting. And I bet it doesn't even really have that restriction. I bet it just, I bet it doesn't validate. It's MSI validation only, so it's just a string column, I'm sure. So you could put whatever version you want inside a merge module. And I don't know how many people do module dependencies, but even the module dependency stuff, probably the module dependency stuff would have problems. I bet it does expect it to be a version. So keeping that check for modules is probably an interesting thing, but it makes it a lot less useful. I won't remove it out of the backend helper. I'm just kind of sitting here thinking what is needed in the backend helper. And I was thinking that might be one we could remove, but I think we have it. It's harder to remove things right now, so let's not. So if we said this is valid Wix version and throw, yes. Oh shoot, I want that. Yes, that, thank you. Throw not implemented. All right, I'll be back. Maybe not. So then this would be something like, oh, I'm gonna have to put this on the, not this dot backend helper, and I didn't add it to the interface yet, so backend helper is Wix version. If not, it is Wix version, MSI package version. Then something like this. Don't want that. The source path is probably fine. And something like that. Yeah. We'll let the version go through. Burn will interpret it as it does, and this message will need to tell you, hey, by the way, that version number that you're expecting or that you're using will have all of these, may have unexpected behaviors, and then we can go into how much ever detail we want to on that. But I think that's essentially the line right there. That's pretty straightforward. Where was the... thought I had is valid 4-part version in the process module. Didn't it? Okay, well, let's go back and find that again. All right, backend helper is valid 4-part version. Oh, no, that's not what it was called. It was in the is valid module. I thought it was something like that. Look at my history here. is valid module or bundle version, find all. All right. Now this, I think, yeah, this is too specific to be, oh, it's a compiler core. Oh, where is this used? Oh, in the compiler only, okay. Right, and it was spitting out a warning, right. Okay, so this then is valid for, no? Oh, wow. Common, but not in compiler. This, all right, fine. Okay, so in the Parse Helper, there's only one reference to this, but there are actually two references, because one of them's commented out. Yes, you. All right, so on this one, I want to say this dot parse helper, please. Wait. I guess it's in compiler core. Fine. Compiler core. Compiler core is a throwback, by the way. The reason I'm groaning every time I see it is that it's a throwback to Wix 3, maybe even 2. I think 3. That it's annoying. That it was a way of it was wrapping up the state that was supposed to be thrown away after each compile, and had a whole bunch of helper functions on it and things like that. And then we implemented the Parse Helper, which is an interface that can also be passed to extensions, because the compiler core was not passed to extensions. Anyway, so a lot of the stuff in compiler core was moved to the iParser helper interface, but rather than, because core is used everywhere, as we can see here, this .core, I mean, on this screen you can see it how many times? Like, it's all over the place. And then we had some static methods on it. Yeah. Anyway, so it because it was used everywhere, to simplify the introduction of the Parse Helper, we just decided to throw a lot of the implementation of the core functionality behind it. So you can see a lot of times core is just a wraparound Parse Helper or messaging. And at some point be like, yeah, you know, you should rip all of this. We should get rid of compiler core and lift all of these into their appropriate places. But that was not in Wix 4. There's enough other things going on that was not the decision there. So this is valid Wix version. Not. If this is not a valid Wix version, and then I think this says the same thing. Invalid Wix version, bundle version. Bundle version. That feels like it's backwards from the other one. Invalid Wix version, invalid Wix source line numbers, the version, and then the path. Yeah. Oh, well, there are different error messages. Okay, so clearly something needs to change here in invalid Wix version. Version attribute. Okay, actually, I don't need this probably. I don't need this now, because I'm going to check that. Can I? Where's the get? Yeah. Where's version? Version. I guess it could be the last one. Version. Yeah, get core attribute version. Yes, get core attribute version. Yes, we're going to change get attribute version, and we don't have to do that. That will give us the attribute, and that. So that will do that. So we don't need this check at all, because it'll end up inside the version value. All right, great. Because this I'm going to change into get attribute version value. Yeah, this is going to be Wix version try parse. I would call it that for now. I don't have a better thing to call it now. Invalid version value, boom. And what is this? The values attribute is not a valid version. Legal versions are that, right? Okay. So that message needs to change, but we can do that too. Okay. Okay. So now we'll be checking the versions come correct there. The Wix bundle version will go through. We don't have to double check it. We just have to make sure that it has one. Okay, that's great. Now, get attribute version value. I wrote that one. These are our helpers. That was the one we just looked at. Now the dependency. Okay, I have to go look at the dependency code. I have to go think about it. This is min and max version, right? Okay. There's that one. That'll be the module version. All right. Minimum package. All right. This guy wasn't checking his anyway. So these guys, these are the. If the attribute is a valid version, use the attributes so that ones that would not get translated into one. Yes, right. If not, string is null. Right. Right. Use the actual attribute value as opposed to the translated value. Okay, that makes sense. And we're not going to do any translations, so I think this can go back to. All right, just type. Just type. All right, you. Find the. All right. Okay, there. Now we're saying the version. Why does it keep doing the top of my document? Okay, yeah, it's starting at the top when I do it instead of finding from where I'm at. All right, is valid product version. I want over in the bind database command. Is there a better place to do this? MSI, yeah, okay. Yeah. Bind it. That wasn't what I wanted. All right. So let's look at product version. Nah, it's not right here. I thought we had a check at the top. Alrighty then. There's the package symbol, module symbol. Calculate the code page. Process properties. Yeah, I need to do it before that. All right, table definitions, calculate code page. I guess we'll do that here early. All right. Load standard tables. That's probably fine. So here we want to do verify version, I guess, and package symbol or module symbol or patch symbol. Does the patch symbol also have a version on it? Is that where that version went? No, I didn't think so. It was the patch family that had it, so it's not the patch symbol. I'll have to go look at patch families. All right, verify version. All right, and then I want this to be like that. So if package symbol is not equal null, then do this check. Does not equal null. Right, and package symbol, source line numbers, and the version. Wow. Oh, that was pretty cool. I don't know that I need to do that. This is just a string, right? Yep, just string. Good. What is going on with the keyboard? Yes. Okay. All right. Else if module symbol does not equal null. There we go. Now we'll do the other one. Compiler module. he was validating that version before. So now I want to say not this dot backend. Yes, is for-part version, valid for-part version, module symbol dot version. Thank you. There. This dot messaging invalid version. That's product version. Invalid module or product version. Yes. Come on, keyboard. Follow the instructions. Invalid module version blah has a max version of all that. All right, great. Module or string. Got it. That. All right. All right. This is no longer module or bundle version, but we'll be able to come back and simplify that when we come back around. Okay. And this didn't have for-part version on it, did it? Or is valid product? Oh. I think it will, though. That's where we're going to move that. Okay. There should probably be a separate Git attribute version for MSI versus Wix versions. No, I'm gonna let it roll through here. Yeah, this is the check. Okay. Back up to this guy, put the this dot on it. Something like that. Okay, so then we go back to compile module never had an extra version check. Are you gonna take me to the top of the file? It does. Who changed that? That's... Is there some change? There's a studio that changed that? It is valid. All right. Yeah, let's do that. We'll check the version a little bit later during binding, but then we don't have to do it twice. And I'm debating whether how much we have to start doing that in the world at large. All right, so we will now catch, when we're building a module, we will catch that right here in this verified version. And the product version, compiler package, we've got the check now. There to get the attribute version, yes. Yeah, I think that's okay. This is not going to behave like that anymore. Okay. All right. So I'm getting kind of the shape of things that I want. This is, no, that one's okay. I wonder if we really need that feature anymore, but it might come in useful when people move up. Yeah, no, I want to push it to the back end. So now this one, minimum. This says that the upgrade table should do the similar checks. That's a valid is valid product version. So this only checks those three. It doesn't check that the fourth one isn't set. So we've not been checking that the fourth number is not set. Okay, that makes sense, given what we've seen in the world. Yep. Yep. So the upgrade checks should do the same. That's an interesting thought. Where is this hitting right now? Oh, in the patch. Okay, this is the patch family thing. Right? Yeah, patch family element. Okay. Windows installer helper. Backend helper, that is. Let's see. How many do we have that are just us? Okay. Windows installer backend helper. We'll drop this one in here. Public bool is valid. Product version. If version not try parse. Version out of our parsed version. There we go, we'll do that. If parse version and do I want to flip all these around? If we parsed, I guess we could say if not parsed. No, there's a whole bunch of ors. All right, fine, let's do guess we can just do for dot major greater than or equal to 255. No. Less than or equal to. Get my logic right here. And for dot minor, same, less than or equal to 255. I guess less than 256. I like that better. 256. And for dot build is less than 65536. There. Is a valid product version if for all those things. Verifies because a valid product string. Fine, yeah, okay, fine. Do we have to? Oh, this is internal class, that's why. Okay, I'm gonna keep this here until I push this up onto the interface. Okay, so actually, let's go ahead and push this up to the interface. The interface is in API, Wix toolset.extensibility, Windows installer backend. Fine, no, not the extensions. I want services. Services, Windows installer backend helper. There we go. There we go. Boom. Don't need public, need a semicolon. Okay. Great. Now we can take this off here. Fine. Okay. So here we go, bind database. All right, here we go. Let's see. So here is valid product version. Oh, yeah, right. I didn't rebuild the interfaces. So let's see. So that leaves me with the upgrade table. Let me write a few things down before I run out of time today. Things that I have to do still. To do. All right. 1. Validate versions in the upgrade table. I have to decide where to put that code. Upgrade table. What's the next thing? Write Wix version parsing. All right. Let's see. We're going to validate the bundle version all the way up front, so that's okay. What else do we need to do? The big things that I'm going to miss. Oh, dependencies. Evaluate dependency use of version numbers. Should they remain for number or go to Wix version? I don't know. Let's see, we validated the module version. Oh yes, for validate the patch family use of version. Looks like it expects a product version. All right, double check error messages usages everywhere. All right, because I didn't do that carefully. Let's see. What else was I missing in the compiler? I can delete a lot of these things. You are just in the patch family? Yes. And then the get attribute value, attribute version that is, don't care about patch creation. Patch, min, okay, that's the upgrade table. That's the module, tackling that. That's the dependency, wrote that down. Bundles, that's what we're taking care of. Compiler core, okay. Okay, good, that's the compiler stuff left. Not too much there. I mean, the big part is the parsing, where I thought it would be stuck at most of the time. Yeah, okay, and then in the bundle, that's bind database. So we're checking the versions here for the module and the package. That's good. And we already had, right, so we already had is full 4-part version. Oh, this, yeah. Compare all the error messages. That's gonna be one of them. Let's drop that in there. For example, that error message. Okay. All right. What do I want to try to finish here in 2 minutes? That's already taken care of. Just have to go do that. Let's go back and look at where did I leave the bundle at? MSI, process MSI package. Right. So we need that is valid Wix version. Okay. That'll be easier once we have the parsing. I'll put it in here. All right. And then I have to add that message. That's fine. So let's see. So that catches the MSI versions. Let's go look at XE real quick. This is process MSI. Process XE package command. All right, we just grabbed a version. That's fine. MSPs. Let's see. Description, display name, manufacturer. Yeah, they don't have the version yet because they target MSIs. It's all going to be inside the patch metadata. Pretty sure these guys don't have versions. Nope. MSUs don't have versions. Okay. So XEs are done. So it's just the MSI case to spit out a warning when we're going to get an invalid error message that's not going to leave. That's going to leave them in a weird space, and somehow word that message to help them know that what behavior they're going to get, or at least what to check. That'll be interesting to try to write that in English, in letters. All right, so that's that. Okay. So that's that one. So this is the big thing. Once the Wix version parsing is complete, then this will be very easy to implement. And then I just have to go look at dependencies and patch families. And then who knows? I always say the code's the hardest part, but sometimes writing the error message is a really tricky thing. And then validating the validating the upgrade versions in the upgrade table will be straightforward. It's just a matter of putting that in the correct place. Probably validating this upgrade symbols should be straightforward enough. That will be good. All right. Upgrade table. Yeah. Which also will then map to the major upgrade element, which will be interesting. That when the upgrade element comes from the major upgrade, talking about the version number will be a little bit weird, because we're going to say, hey, this version number of that version number, which actually then comes from the product version on the version on the package. I don't know. We'll have to think about that one too. Getting the error messages on those things is going to be interesting as well. All right. So I think we got everything parked in a nice place on the downhill to pick this up next time around and pick any of these off the top of the list and keep rolling downhill to get this thing implemented. That's good stuff. All right, so it's an hour and a half. You guys have a good time. Keep coding. In the meantime, you know I am. Bye.